Hi everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is episode 7. This is where we build a Walthers roundhouse, a 3-stall roundhouse for your engines to go into for maintenance and for all the things that engines have to do. Now this is an old roundhouse, a steam-based roundhouse, and we will build in the next episode an engine house, a modern engine house. So we take you through the complete installation, the complete weathering, and the installation of lighting, and then how to position it on the layout when it's finished. Lots of really good stuff, lots of really good tips. But you know what? Before that, we've got to listen to that song, Railroad Soul.
Across the prairies to the sea, they laid the iron for the rails and we ride. They shared their lives, their hearts, and their pride. They had railway soul.
Okay, a couple points, or just a couple of things I want to mention. I was originally going to build this, so I was going to put the foundation down and then lay the tracks and everything and build the model separately and then just lay it on. But now, having looked at the directions and how this has to go together, I'm going to have to build this whole building first, then put it down, then lay the tracks in, and I may have to do the same thing with this other one. I don't know, I haven't studied it that close yet, but so I decided I'm going to build this whole building and then put it in place. Now, in the directions, they say put the pits in last. So build everything, put the pits in. Now, knowing me, I'll get the whole thing built, I'll put the pits in, and then it's not going to fit into the space. So what I decided to do was to put the pits in now. So build the foundation, put the pits in, and then test it to make sure that it's going to work. So I've done that, and lo and behold, it fits. Okay, so if I'm lucky and build everything right, when this building is finished, it should just fit right in there, just like it does now. Now, the problem with that is now the pits are sticking at the bottom, so you have to, it's unstable to build. So what I did was I took a piece of foam and I just carved out some spots where the pits would be. And then I set this foundation on the foam. And now I have a good solid base to build the model, a good solid base to build the model. And I can just move this around when I want to paint and when I want to, do other things. And I don't have to worry about this foundation, becoming unstable and breaking apart. Now, when I glued this together the first time, it really didn't hold that well. I'll be honest with you. And every time you tried to move it, I thought, oh, it's going to break open. So what I did is I just took some electrical tape. So I put a bead of glue down this ridge here, and then I just put a row of tape down, really pushed it down well, and now it's pretty strong. I mean, I still wouldn't want to bang this around too much, but when it's on the foam support, it's very stable. Okay, so I can build the model now, do my painting, all that stuff on this foam base, and hopefully that's going to stop me from having this floor or having the base fall apart all the time. Okay, so I just thought I'd update you with the fact that I'm going to have to build this building first. I don't know about the other one yet. I'm going to have to look at it, but I'll take you through. I'll probably do this building in a different video, and then we'll come back when the building's built, and then I'll lay it in and we'll continue on with the turntable installation. Okay, just an update. See you back next time. Okay, so we're back working on the Walthers roundhouse, and I've done this is going to be not a how-to video, but more of a how I did it video, or how I'm doing it video. And I'm sure there's a million different techniques that people can use that are different than this and probably way better, but I'm going to show you how I did it, and we'll see how it turns out. So I have painted the base. So this is the area where the trains are going to pull in. So this is concrete. This is I painted that with the Rust-Oleum Ultra Matte White, and it's come out really nice. I think that looks really good. Now we're going to weather that up and do some other stuff to that as we go. But I've also put done the first phase of work on the brick walls. So what I've done here is I've used this aged gray Rust-Oleum chalked type paint, and it comes out with a really nice sort of fibrous type look on the brick. And then I've taken just one of these fiber rags, and I've just dabbed it just like that. And this is sort of just the first coat of, it's going to give it kind of a fibrous, chunky look, you can see. And the pattern is pretty random. And now I'm going to do the next step, which is to take some red and brown and mix it together to get that brick sort of look. And I'm going to take a sponge and just sponge on to this. And this technique that Jason Jenkins, that I've learned from Jason Jenkins, and he has a YouTube channel called Jason Jenkins Trains. And so you should check that out, because he's really good at doing bricks and putting on signs and all kinds of stuff that looks really amazing. So what I'm going to do is I'll get the paints out, and we'll get that mixed up, and we'll start the dabbing. This is the second phase. And then the third phase, once that dries, is to get out basically some polyfilla joint compound, and just put it over the next step after that is to paint individual bricks, and then put the joint compound on, and then weather it a bit with some chalk. So we'll see how it all comes out. Now, on my layout, this building was built in the late 50s. So it was put up in the late 50s, just at the very end of the changeover from steam to diesel. And it's now in the 70s, mid 70s. So this will be, 15, 20 years old. And so it will have a bit of weathering on it. Now the other engine facility will be a bit newer. So we'll we'll have to make that difference in age show up on the techniques that we use. Okay, so I'm going to get the paints together, and we'll come back and we'll do this. I don't know if this is, yeah, this is recording. We'll do this brick siding piece, and we'll see how it looks. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, so I have mixed up my palette. I'm just using a dish, and these are the paints that I'm using. It's called Splashes. It's water-based enamel. So I've mixed a combination of yellow, mission brown, so sun yellow, mission brown, cherry red, and orange. And I've got this mixture down here, which I think is going to look pretty good. Now we take a sponge. I just have these sponges here, basically multi-purpose sponge. Cut off a piece, then I'm just going to fold it so it's about a third here, and then we'll just dip and we'll start applying to the brick. So you want to not have too much on the sponge, and then just start Now don't worry if it's not perfect just right yet. We're going to come back, do this a couple times. If you get a spot a little heavy, you can just use the sponge to soak that up. So this is the effect we're getting. It's not smooth all over, but it's not really meant to be smooth all over. You just want to make sure you don't get any of the sponge parts coming off. Just keep that still clean. Now I'm just going to go and fill in around these cracks here. Just going to switch the sponge over. So now I'm just rubbing in to the cracks, and then I'm just going to dab, take any excess away. there you go. You can see it doesn't have to be perfect just yet. And I'm gonna finish off the other pieces. Same way, same technique. Then we're gonna let that dry really, really good. Then we're gonna come back and paint some individual bricks into this. Okay. Okay, we'll see you soon. Hello, welcome back. Just a quick update on the progress of the engine house, roundhouse. Recall last time we left off, we were dabbing the bricks. So we've dabbed the bricks. Then I went and literally painted little individual bricks you can see randomly around the structure, and then proceeded to put on the drywall mud, or the basically the putty that they use to the mud they use for drywall, like I saw in that video. And then I realized, oh, that's not gonna work, because the little cracks in between the bricks weren't big enough. So I had a bit of a panic and wiped it all off, went and washed it off, and it took half the paint with it when I did that, so I had to redo this. But yeah, I'm really, really pleased with how it's turned out. You can see it's looking real aged, and you can see different colors of brick through. So what I did was I went back and I dabbed it again with the sponge, just like I did before, and that's how it came out. So when I painted this along the bottom, that's the concrete floor, and that's painted with chalk gray Rust-Oleum, and so I'm pretty pleased with how that's turned out. I'll show you the other guys here, which I think you can see some of the colors better. So you can see some of the colors showing through there better. Here you can see some red and black, brown showing through. But I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. It looks, my wife came in and said, stop now, don't do any more, because it's looking really good. So I stopped. Now the next thing I did was I basically painted up this floor, and you can see it's kind of modeled, because I couldn't for the life of me think that having an engine house for diesels or steam locomotives would have a clean floor by any means. So this has been around now. This particular place would have been around for 20 or so years. So there's a lot of stuff on here. So what I did first, as you remember, I sprayed it with Rust-Oleum white, which was the concrete color. And you can still see a bit of that showing through here. And then I sprayed Rust-Oleum gray, and then black, and just touched it just a little bit. And then I took a little bit of a rust color and put that in there, because I thought, over the years there's going to be stuff clanging around and rusting on the floor. I also made sure that I got some dirt on the stairs here, and a little bit of dazzling in the pit. Now look, I don't even know if you're going to be able to see that well once the once the walls are on, but I mean, it's just put a wall on it where. So when you look at that and the roof goes on, you may be able to see it a little bit. Now I'm going to put some proof of life stuff happening in there. I'm going to put some machines and some people and stuff, but I think that all in all, considering the amount of panic I had when that polyfill stuff didn't work, and I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I washed it. Some of that came off. I had to responge it. That's all. And then thanking my wife for stopping me because I was gonna, do some other stuff, but I think nope, that's it. That's how it looks. I like it. I'll show you again. I think it looks awesome. It's got aging on it. Excellent. So next step is I got thinking to myself, okay, when you're looking into this thing, what, no matter how, depending on how far you can see in, but you're going to be able to see in a little bit. And if you look in the windows the other side, you're going to be able to see these walls. And these walls look really not real. So I am going to go and see if I can get some little paper brick pattern. And then I'm going to try and glue it on here. And I'll try and get it as close to this as I can. But I don't think it really matters that much. Because the brick on the outside may be a different color than the brick on the inside. And so that's my story. So I'm going to stick to that one. I'll go see what I can get for the paper brick, and then I will get back to you, and we'll continue with the build on this roundhouse. Let me know what you think. Think it looks good. If you don't think it looks good, don't say anything. Okay, excellent. Talk to you soon. Okay, back. I went out and give this a quick coat of Rust-Oleum satin granite. Okay, now I was thinking there's the other side, there's this side. I was thinking they'd have something on this wall. Now, I tried a few different things. So what I did was I went out and I got these brick papers. And this is from www.superquick.co.uk. And this is the big gray slated bricks. So those are the big bricks, the big sort of H bricks that they use. And I thought, maybe that would be a good thing to have on the inside. So I've done one here. So now you can see how that looks. Okay, it's not perfect. I understand. I'm not a master craftsman modeler. However, to me, when we hold that up and we look in through the window, like that looks a lot more realistic than that. So what I did, now this glue isn't dry yet, so there's still a bit of bumpiness in it, but I'm thinking that is going to look pretty darn good. So I'm going to go ahead and put the coat on this one. But before I do that, I want to just show you, if I can get up close here. Okay, you see it's not focusing, there you go. You see all the little gritty chunks in those windows? Those all have to be filed out. Okay, so what I use is this guy here. It's just a little file, flat file. Get in there, file those windows before you put this on. And then the windows, which are here, okay, they've got a little ridge around them. They also have to be sanded, and they'll snap right in there like that. Now, they don't fit very good even right now because the grittiness around these windows has to be filed out. So I'm going to get busy, get that filed, get this other brick pattern on. I think that is pretty good, actually. The more I see it and the more the glue dries, the more I like it. So that's the way it's going to be. Okay, I'll get back to you when I have those brick patterns on, and maybe we will start construction of this thing I gotta paint the windows. So that's what I'll do. I'll paint the windows, put on this stuff here. I'll file this, put on the stuff, paint the windows. Once I get the windows in, we'll come back and we'll have a look. Okay, excellent. Thanks for sticking with me. I know this is a long one, but hopefully we're learning something. See you soon. Okay, quick update. So we have the windows in. So those windows are painted a flat charcoal. And then I went with green on the doors. Just show you this next piece. Okay, so that's the outside. And then there's these end pieces. Okay, so that's the outside. Now I'll just flip this over. And then there's the inside. Flip these ends over. And there's the ends there. So inside is brick. I'm pretty pleased with how that turned out, actually. Looks really good. And when I get down, and I won't do it right now, but once I get this, I have done it, but I've set it up and I've looked through the windows and you can actually see this through the windows. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Now, I'll just show you some other stuff. So this is the, let me just put this over here, put this here. So this is the iron or the steel or metal beam structure that goes in the middle. So it sits kind of like that, okay, on the inside. And what I did with this was I painted it Rust-Oleum Ultramat, I guess it's red, kind of a red color, red currant, that's what color it was. And then once that dried, I got this Dulux Dura Rust Effect, and I just lightly sprayed the rust effect. And I think it turned out really well. You can sort of see the rusting areas. They're not really rusting, but they're the, when I, let's see if I get that to focus. I've not been in a lot of, I've been in any actually engine facilities, but I've been in a lot of mechanical shops. My father used to be a bus mechanic. So I'd go in and see him, and there was a lot of heavy equipment and stuff around. And so what I remember was that the metal was kind of, seemed to be a kind of reddish color, like the beams were kind of a reddish color, but some of them had a little rust on them. And especially with this is, you know, probably 20, 30 years old at the time. And the other thing I remember was the floor was always like a mess. So what I did was I worked on this a little bit more. So I scratched, I took and I scratched, put some gouges in the actual, just used a pair of scissors. And then I took a pencil, just like this. And I just rubbed the pencil around, making sure that I got into these cracks a little bit. And I'm pretty pleased with how that came out also, because I remember the floor was always really grimy and greasy, and there were scratches and gouges out of it where things had fallen over the years. So I tried to reproduce that, so I'm pretty pleased with how that's turned out. So we'll go ahead with the next phase of the construction of this engine shop. So we'll get the walls up, and the beams in, and then I'll update you again at that point. Okay. Oh, just to glue the windows in, I just used this on Rebel. It's really good stuff. You just need like a tiny drop on each corner, and then they stick in. And the glue I used to glue the paper down was just this Hobbycraft washable clear glue. Worked really well, actually. Look at the, just move this around a bit. I'll try to get a close-up on the brick stuff. You'll see there's no, try this one. You'll see that there is, no sort of folding or globbing, which is pretty good. Okay, look, I don't know how much people are going to be able to see the inside anyway, but to me, it just seems to look a lot better. So I did it, and you don't have to do anything. You can just put it together, because it's people may not be seeing on the inside anyway. But I did this because I thought if you do look in, somebody's gonna look in the windows or whatever. I just wanted them to think that it was a real building. Okay, I will update you once I have the walls up and the beams in, and we'll see how this thing looks. And then of course, once the walls are up and the beams are in, I'll put the lighting in, and I'll take you through that. So we'll catch you in a couple hours. Bye-bye. So as you can see, I've got the walls up, I've got the beams up, and I've got one set of the windows here. Now, just a word of caution, until you get everything connected, it's pretty wobbly. And I first started putting these up first. That was not probably the best idea. What I then did was I put one side and one back piece up, one side and one back piece up. Then I attached this piece, and then I attached the cross beams here, and that seemed to work okay. You just really have to be careful when you're putting these together not to touch windows and doors and things, because they'll pop out. And guess how I know that? That's right, I did it. But all in all, it's coming together pretty good. And I'll update you once we get the rest of the front on and the windows on, and then we'll talk about how we're going to do the lighting. And yeah, it's coming along. We'll be back soon to show you how the rest of this thing is going. Okay, bye-bye. I've got the roof done. What I did here was I took Rust-Oleum charcoal, and I sprayed it on, and I let it dry just a second, and then I took a sponge and just dabbed it like this a little bit, and it gave it that sort of funky, rough look. And then as soon as that Rust-Oleum dried, I sprayed a bit of rust on it. I'll just show you here. I think it's come up really good as an aged roof. And just put a bit of rust on those pipes that are coming out, and you'll see that underneath, just put a bit of rust on those too. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to be doing, and I've tried these on there, they fit in pretty good. The next thing that we're going to be doing is I'm going to be wiring up some LEDs inside, and I'll take you through that process. I just need to reset up the camera, and we'll take you through the LED. But here's how it's looking so far. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Just give you a little look. Okay, good. So I'm just going to reposition the camera and then we'll get on with the LEDs. Okay, so reposition the camera and hopefully you can get most of the stuff on here. So what I've done is I've taken some computer connecting wire and just stripped the wire out from the center of it. And that gives a number of different wires that look like this. And they're already twisted, even though we don't need them twisted for the LEDs, but it's handy to have these twisted because it holds the wires together nicely when you're trying to put them inside a building. Okay, now what will happen is there'll be a number of different colors inside that wire, and all I have done is say, for my wiring scheme, the white is the negative and the color goes to the resistor. Now what do I mean by that? I'm just going to put these out of the way. So these are the LEDs that I'm using. I can get my hand out of the way. Okay, it's a 3mm LED. Just show you right here. So it's a 3mm. This is clear white. I've already done 2 yellows, which I'm also going to put in because I like that sort of mixture of light. I'm going to try it, see how it looks. But with these LEDs, so that LED stands for light emitting diode, which is right here. And you'll see that it has 2 different sized legs on it, or wires coming off. The long wire is the one you're going to hook the resistor to, and the short wire on my scheme is going to be the white wire. So what I'm going to do is just bend these apart slightly. I'm going to put it into the helping hand here, just like that. And these are the resistors that I'm going to be using. Now with an LED, you have to have a resistor to reduce the voltage that's going through. Now these resistors are pretty small. I think these ones are 1,000 ohms, 1K resistors. So just remove that from the pack. Now what I'm going to do now is just solder the resistor to the long leg. Okay. Now I know lots of you know how to do this, and I'm just taking you through the whole process because that's the whole point of this video series, is that we, even though it's simple or seems simple, we make an attempt anyway to take everybody through the full process at least once, so that you can get an idea of how things are, how I do things. That's basically what it's all about. I used to get really frustrated because I'd be trying to find something out and I would only get bits and pieces here and there, and no one would ever take you through the whole process. And then by the time they came on again, they were done, but you didn't actually know how they did it. Now, very important now to make sure the soldering tip is clear. Okay, so you just rub it in the sponge with water. You take your solder and you just tin the end. So you just melt a little bit of solder on the end like that. Then you bring it to the joint that you want to solder, and you just touch it on until that solder flows through the joint. Now I'm going just take this off. You can see a nice solder joint there. Now there's a little bit of a loop there, but that's okay because we're going to put some shrink wrap on that, and so you won't even see that. Okay, so I'm just going to put this back in here, cut a bit of shrink wrap. I cheat a little bit with this because you don't really need it. So I'm going to give myself even a little bit more. I'm going to give myself a little bit more room to work. Now I've got my wire, so this time we're going to use a sort of a brown and white wire. I'm just going to unwind this. I'll show you how to do this. So we're just going to unwind this wire. We're going to unwind it enough so that we can hook up two sides of the LED. And remember, one side is long, the other side is short. So we're going to put on the short side first. So I'm just taking my wire strippers, just going to strip a bit of that wire off. And it's good to have a nice long piece for this one because we're going to wrap it around. First of all, I'm going to cut a piece of shrink wrap. I'm just slide that shrink wrap on there. Then I'm going to wrap this around the wire without the resistor. And I'm just going to bend that back a little bit. Oops. This back on here. So this is real. This is how it happens. Just put that on there. Put this in here. Good. Now we're going to solder this joint. So I've cleaned my tip. I'm going to tin it. I didn't clean it very well, did I? There you go. It's nice and clean. Really important to have it clean when you're doing this, because all you want to do is just let that solder flow. Cross those wires like that. Just bring that up so you can have a look. Very nice. Okay, so now I'm just going to take this this way. Don't worry about that. Get that back on there. Then I can slide this one up. Good. Now what we're going to do, make sure we find our shrink tube. I'm going to put that on there. And then we're just going to... Now for this one, what I usually do now is I measure. So I get these held tight together and I just cut it. Just give myself a little bit of extra room. I bring these in. Just gonna pull that off. And now we're gonna hook these two together. I didn't give myself quite enough room to work here, so I'm going to just take a little bit off. I'm just wrapping these just enough to allow me to hold them together to get the solder on. And hopefully you can see that still. I'll try to zoom this in a bit. Okay. Just clean that off. And we're going to just tin that a bit. And we're going to put this on here, just like that. You just want to see it nice and flowing between those two wires. Go. And you can see on this one there is a little tip hanging out. I'm just going to take that off because that will that'll puncture the tubing. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this tubing up to cover where we soldered. And the other one I'm going to shove all the way up. So these two wires can't touch because one has the shrink wrap. Even though the other's bare, they're not going to be able to touch. I'm going to also put a little bit of tape on there to hold those two together in a second. But first, we want to see, does this thing work? So I'm going to just take the wires out the other end. I have a battery, just a, where are we here? Just a 9-volt battery with the two ends on it. So we should be able to test this, see if it works. There it is, lighting up. Now hopefully you can see that. Just make sure it's on the screen. Get my bear paws in there. There we go. She lights. So now we just finish this off. I just use the soldering iron. Use the tip of the soldering iron to melt this shrink wrap, heat tube and stuff. And the stuff I'm using is probably a bit too big, but it's all I had. So I'm using it. And it does shrink down pretty significant. And this is the one with the resistor on it, so it'll shrink down nicely on that resistor, and you'll see that it's not going anywhere once it gets shrunk down. I know this is monotonous, but like I said, it's live and you get to see the whole thing. Just so you know exactly what we did to get where we're at. Okay, now the last finishing touch is I will take a very small piece of electrical tape. And I'm just going to wrap this so that these wires stay together like that. So when I go to mount this inside the building, they're not skidding away on me. So there we have it. There's your LED ready for installation in the building. Now, if this light, obviously, if this light was going to be more visible, I would have not put such bulky stuff on it, but I don't think you're going to be able to see it inside this building. And I always test it one more time, because the last thing I want to do is get it inside the building. Get it in the building and then not have it work. Not fun. Okay, now remember with LEDs, you can put the wires on wrong and it's not going to hurt the LED, it's just not going to work. So there we go. We've got it working. Yay. So I'm going to finish off the last LED and then we'll start the installation into the building, and I think I'm going to have to put the building onto the layout and finish the installation, drilling the hole and stuff like that to get the wires through. But I'll show you, we'll update you when we're ready to proceed. Okay? Thanks. Don't go away, the exciting stuff's coming. Okay, so I've got the engine house onto the layout, because as I thought, I was going to have to assemble the rest of it on the layout. So there's the hole I drilled there, and I just drilled it big enough to get the wires through. Now the LEDs are mounted on the back of the roof sections. Let's see here. And there's 4 LEDs in this unit. We'll see how bright that is once we put them on. And the other light is under this one at the front. And I'll just leave that now because that wire I've hooked with some double-sided tape along here. You just have to be very careful that you don't interfere with the setting for the roof to go into. Okay, so that's the update there now. I've also got one set of tracks, all the tracks are laid, coming into the roundhouse, into the engine house, but only one is glued down, and that's this one. So I'm just trying it to make sure that the gauge is okay, because the glue was having a hard time setting here on these rails, but it's good now. So it's down now. So one further step, and I'll update you when the I still have to put the other 2 tracks down, get the rest of the roof on, and get the doors on the front, because as you can see, there's no doors on there yet. So we'll get those on and I'll update you. Okay, don't go away. So here is a view. Obviously the roof is not totally down yet, but here's the view at night with the lights on. I've got a mixture of yellow and white lights in there. I'll just give a little bit of a walk around. I think it looks really cool. I haven't put the doors on yet. You can see inside. Excellent. Got a car there just to show what it's going to look like with the car. Sorry about the jerky camera. So there it is on the tracks with the lights on. Now I just have to put the doors on, and I'm going to secure that roof down. Maybe I might just leave it because I don't see much light coming through it right now, and I need to get the roof off to put in some activity in there. There she is. Pretty darn schwank, I must say. Okay, so we're going to be moving on now, trying to get this turntable moving. And in order to do that, I got to get these 2 tracks down, or 3 tracks. But in order to do that, we got to build another engine house. So that'll be the next video. Okay, signing off on this video. Hope you all enjoyed it. And come back next time. We'll be doing the engine house. I got a few things in the works with wiring and stuff. So hope you're enjoying the channel. Come on back, and hopefully we'll be learning stuff together. Thank you. Bye-bye.